Most objects are designed to be sold and not kept. This cheap plastic alarm clock cost me $17. It works, it tells time, but it was never meant to matter. So I want to see if something this disposable can feel timeless and worth keeping. Not upgraded, not custom, but completely redesigned. I'm keeping all of the electronics and ditching the case. The goal is to make it feel like it was always meant to be this way, like it belongs in one of my design books. This isn't about nicer materials, it's about decisions. The original is small, lightweight, and not meant to be seen. I want it to feel deliberate, like it belongs on my nightstand for the next 30 years. And this video is brought to us by Squarespace. The best design decisions happen when you work within constraints, and this build has plenty. The guts are calling the shots here: spacing, layout, and button placement. My job is to make it feel like this was how it was supposed to be designed. Nip the battery terminals, and we are free from its case. I love that it's so simple, and we can do anything we want with this. The cheap original plastic one is pretty small. I want to make this a little bit bigger so it has a little bit more visual weight, a little bit more, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm thinking that we start with the shell and do some bent lamination with wood that goes something along the lines like this. This is some paperback walnut veneer. The next step is to just cut a bunch of strips out of this so we can laminate and create that outside shell. I got some leftover dense foam from our skateboard mold video that we're going to use to make this form. We got our two foam pieces cut and shaped. So the thing is, when you're bending wood, you have to have a certain radius, otherwise the wood is going to break. This particular glue works with water. So you put glue on one side, water on the other side, it expands, and there is our form. So now we're going to glue up our laminations. So this is just going to go over our form like this. Then this goes in here, and it's gonna suck out all of the air. Ah, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Trying to get that air tight over this weird shape. It's usually a lot easier than this, but the weird shape is making it difficult. But we got good suction, and we just let that sit and dry for an hour or so. All right, it has been an hour and a half, which should be plenty of time. This is always my favorite part. It's just so freaking satisfying. This is like Christmas. I just love that. That glue dries real hard, so it's solid. Either I didn't get glue all the way to the edges, or the glue dried before I got it in there, because my seams can be seen. My ends are splitting. I don't know anything about split ends, but my ends are splitting. And I think my next move is to glue a piece of wood to bridge the gap here to define that shape so then I can cut out the inside shapes for the clock guts. I'm kind of working on the fly and without a plan. Like, I don't have that much of an idea of what this is supposed to look like. I'm just making it work. By chance, I had a piece of scrap that is pretty much the same thickness as our lamination. So I'm gonna try to get that in there. My concern is I'm not gonna have enough glue surface for it to hold, so I might have to do a little bit of reinforcement on the inside. But how lucky am I to have a piece that's already that thickness? Apparently there's not a lot of glue surface for that to hold. So I'm thinking about putting some pieces in there to just give me a little more glue surface. And if I inset the pieces from the edge, it also gives me a place to put the front and back panel at a future date. So we'll clamp these two guys together, and then once that sets, we can glue it on the inside. So now we're going to glue this in place. I found a spacer that's basically the perfect size to guide my glue up. So then this will go in here like this. I'll put this guy up here. I like it when a project starts looking like a thing. I get my excitement back. It's starting to look like a thing. I'm thinking about my next move. This is the hard part. This is the part I've been dreading. So I'm gonna set this down on a piece of paper and draw out the shape. Now we're getting ready to the hard part where we gotta be a little bit more precise. I'm gonna go cut this out. That is gonna peep through there. Let me plug this in and try not to die. So that is looking pretty good. All right, I'm afraid I'm gonna electrocute myself because of whatever that thing is. So let's not do that yet. We're just gonna tape this on there, make sure everything is gonna fit so we can move on to doing more cool stuff. All right, that's what I'm talking about right there. Right now, it's not functional. You would have to plug in the clock at noon or midnight. And yeah, that doesn't seem very user-friendly, does it? Also, we gotta cut the legs off. Let's do that right now. That'll give me time to think about my next move. It's hard to explain, but it feels like a thing now because it has a sound when it hits the bench because it's all a solid piece. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. But it feels like a thing. It feels like a thing. We're getting there. We also need to create a lip up top so our thing has something to sing to. When you get to this point, everything that you do affects the next thing. And so working without a plan, I would hate to like cut the holes for the buttons and then screw me in a way that I'm not expecting. First thing is not cool. The buttons are not evenly spaced, and that's just the way the design is on the original clock. There's ways around it, but it's not, there's probably ways around that. The cool thing about the buttons is the spring back mechanism is built into the button itself instead of being some sort of like plastic spring thing. I don't know. Is it obvious? I don't know what I'm talking about. The fun for me is doing stuff that I don't know anything about. So check out these buttons. So that makes the next step a little bit easier. I run into my first biggest problem with this design. The radius on the edges does not allow me to have the buttons up top. One solution is I could raise the buttons up above the radius so it sets up, but it doesn't, I don't think that's gonna work. I'm thinking instead that we cut a new faceplate and then we have the buttons in the front. So that is the next phase. So let's go do that. Let's go cut a new face and let's make this work. This is what happens when you work without a plan. You screw yourself quite a bit, but that's the fun. This is a learning moment. This is a learning moment for me because now it forces me to redesign and think about the design again. So I cut out all of the buttons that are gonna fit right in there. There are two pieces for each button. There's the smaller button and then there's the bigger button. And if I glue the bigger button on the back side, that keeps the button from falling through. So they just have to be roughly center. So this is what I just cut. And because that piece is the same thickness as our front plates, they don't poke through the top. So I went ahead and cut another one where we're using 1/4 inch acrylic and now they do poke through the top. I also added a little lip on here and then can stick this in here pop that into place. That is in place. Listen to this. It works even though I have my buttons evenly spaced and then these are not evenly spaced. It just works. It's one of those situations, it just works. All right, so our solution caused another problem. Because of this lip that we put in the bottom, this no longer fits. Our buttons interfere with our inner lip. So we're gonna have to break out the hand tools and fix that. Because this isn't a clock radio and just an alarm, it doesn't have an actual speaker, it uses a piezo speaker. And I was hoping that I could just replace this with a regular speaker, but it turns out it doesn't work that way. And to add a speaker, I would also have to add an amplifier. So right now, we're just going to drill a tiny little hole for this to go in up top. Maybe it's better if it's on the bottom so it can use your table surface to reverberate. The back piece needs some breathing holes, and I thought, well, I have this piece out in the metal shop. What if I, instead of using this as the breathing holes, and is that the right term? Instead of using this as the breathing holes, I use it as a template to drill the hole. Here's the thing, when you do that and you don't clamp it down, of course your template can move, but it also was busting out the back of the acrylic and that doesn't look so good. Oh, that, my friend, is satisfying. All right. Let's get this guy ready to put together. I still need to make the labels for the buttons, and then I need to 3D print or something for the alarm on-off switch. But I gotta be honest with you, or at least honest with myself, I'm not totally digging this. It's close, I like the overall shape, but it still feels like a DIY project to me. I think one of the reasons is the clock face is flush with the front. I think if that was set back, it's a little bit different. I don't like the huge radius. I think that could be tamed down a little bit. The white with the walnut, I think does work. I also think it might be just a little bit too big. I know at the very beginning I said I wanted to make it bigger than the original, to give it a little bit more, but the proportions seem out of place. So I don't mind the buttons up front. I think it actually cleans up the whole design instead of putting them up top. I think what would look cooler up top is if there was a circle pattern of holes for airflow and breathing, but also for the piezo speaker. It's a rare thing that I ever make a prototype. I'm usually trying to make the final version as the first version, and I tried to do that here, but I think we've worked around some of the things that we need to work around. I figured out where the hard parts are of getting the electronics where they need to be. Let's make this right. We're gonna turn back the clock. I'm gonna clean up my bench here and reset for the final version. And while doing so, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. The reason I've used Squarespace for over 10 years, way before they were a sponsor, is because it just makes my life easier. And now with their design intelligence, it's even easier than it was before. You're gonna go in, you're gonna answer a few questions to tell Squarespace what kind of website you want, the feel, the pages that you want, and then you click next, and Squarespace is going to build the site for you instantly. It's gonna fill in all of your pages with some placeholder text and some photos, so all you gotta do is go in and replace that. The layout is already set. Their templates are absolutely beautiful. Don't worry too much about picking the right template, because once you pick a template, you can go in and you can just change it automatically, and it just does everything for you. It really is that easy. You can sell both physical and digital items, which is what I do. I sell plans to some of the projects that I make, and I also sell physical items. Some things I ship right from my house. Some things are drop shipped for me through a company called Printful. Any other website, that would be really difficult to get all three of those things to work together, and to figure out a payment processor would just be just gross. But Squarespace makes that part of my life so much easier. Lots of other cool features is you can have a calendar so people can book time with you depending on what type of business you are. Maybe you're not a business at all and you just want a place to show off your work. Squarespace has a number of galleries to just make you look good. That's what your website is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you look good. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/make something to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All right, version 2, the better version, the one that's gonna make me happy. Like I said in the previous video, when it comes to art, I never know when to stop. I just know when I'm happy. And I know that I'm not happy with this. I can do better. We have all of our pieces cut. It is time for assembly. I am liking this. I think we are on the right path, and I think this is going to look so cool. And we got clear on top of white for a really cool effect. The face is made out of this beautiful zebra wood. The original plan was walnut, but I cut the wrong file and I didn't have any more thin walnut, which was kind of like a lucky mistake. So this zebra wood is going to have this inlay that I printed out on my printer, and that's gonna go in there like that. That is how we're labeling the buttons. This is gonna look so sweet. And then on top of that, we're gonna have this piece of clear that's gonna cover everything up and give it that nice manufactured look. Is that a thing people look for in design? Manufactured? There's a red film on here. I'm wondering if we can change the color? Oh, no, the LEDs are red too. I thought I could put a piece of blue film on there, but the LEDs are red. The buttons now goes in there, that pivots in place, and with a little bit of luck and pressure, it snaps into place. Turn it over, working buttons. That just makes me so happy. Looking good, looking good. Before I attach the front plate to the front, that's where the front plate goes, I need a way to screw in the back. And so I am thinking I'm just gonna take some little wood blocks and then glue them behind the little nubs that we put on there. Put in a wood block behind that hole. We can put this on there and then just screw right into that wood block. That's the plan. So I have this piece of wood here that I've been squirting CA glue on to help me glue things up. The front clear panel that I made for this, I was debating on whether or not I wanted it on there. And while I'm studying it, I went and I set it right in the glue. I guess that answers my question of whether or not I want to use the clear front. It was like, the reason I don't want to use the clear front is it looks cool over the buttons, but it takes away the coolness of the wood. It makes it too glossy. I gotta cut down my tabs. They're interfering with the front panel. Just when you think you're down the home stretch, everything goes wrong. We have ruined our paint finish. The paint hasn't cured. You wanna know why the paint hasn't cured? Because I wanted to be the guy who went to the art store, picked out the perfect off-white, instead of just going to Home Depot, getting some Rust-Oleum in whatever colors that they had, which would have been cured by now, 24 hours later. But no, I gotta repaint the whole thing because I'm a picky son of a bitch. Me. It just broke. God damn it. Oh, me. No. Oh, fucking zebra. I had to be the guy to use zebra wood. This is the last step. This is the last step. All we gotta do is just put this, well, we just gotta screw it together. Why am I talking in a high voice? Because I'm fucking pissed. Son of a cock. All right, it's not that big of a deal.
Seems like a big deal.
You're right, it is a big deal. It's a big deal. I should be pissed. It wasn't so bad. It was repairable. You can't even tell. I mean, I still feel devastated. Like I thought we had something. A couple days ago, we were having a discussion of the original clock had the snooze button up top, and I have it on the front. And Jefferson is like, the snooze button should be big. It should take up the whole thing. It should be, you can hit it easily. And I said, that actually is a good user design, but that's not what I want in my alarm clock. I want my alarm clock to be as hard as possible to turn off to snooze. In fact, I should have removed the snooze button. But that's just who I am. I am gonna screw on the front with these M4, M5 bolts, whatever they are. And this has become a signature part of my art pieces. I just love the way they look on the front panel. We need to make a permanent place for that piece that tried to kill me. Maybe it's a transformer, but it's gotta be bolted down. We are done. I gotta touch up my paint job because I really messed that up. I just need to make sure it still comes on after all of that. It's been a day. Hey, okay. It looks cool except for the crappy paint job. It's rustic. Like any project that you work on, you're gonna have road bumps along the way. We went down one path, I wasn't feeling it. I think this could work for something else, but for this, it just didn't feel right. The proportions were all wrong. I really, really like the second path that we went down. It feels a lot more industrial. I'm really, really happy with it. It was frustrating at times for sure, but anytime you're working around electronics and somebody else's parts, you're gonna have some roadblocks. So actually, this is only part one. I am working towards an art show in June. That will be details down in the description, but I want to make it look like this is melting into a nightstand and have the display still workable, but have this like glitchy flicker effect to it. So that is gonna be part two. I'm not filming every single art piece that's gonna be in the show. I'm thinking about filming this one. Let me know if you want. That's a YouTuber trick. Let me know if you want me to film that. And everybody says, yes, film that, and then you film it, even though you're gonna film it the whole time. Anyway, all right, that's gonna wrap it up. If you like watching me recase things, I've got a whole playlist. This Casio keyboard is my absolute favorite. Start there. That's just a good project. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and unsubscribe from the noise.